Hey everybody, welcome back to the garage. Today I got a set of KX65 forks that I need to rebuild. They've been leaking around the dust seal areas when I tie it down in the bed of the truck. I've got a PivotWorks rebuild kit here and it's got the bushings and seals. So I'm going to go ahead and replace all of this. Let's go ahead and get started and drain these suckers. I've got these set up in my vise and just dripping down into a catch can. We'll clean those springs off later, but this will get most of the fluid out of these guys. Alright, well I've got these clamped in the vise. I'm just going to take the bolt out of the bottom of the fork tubes. Alright, with the forks drained, we're going to get these dust seals off. With the dust seals off, you can see the circlip inside. That's the next thing to come out. Alright, let's wind out the rest of this bolt here. And we should be able to separate the tube from the lower. Takes a decent amount of force to separate those two. So inside the tube itself is the dampening rod, followed by another spring. So on the end of the fork tube, there's another bushing. We're going to want to get that off. Just slide that off the end here. Alright, on the lower assembly, there's a little cap at the bottom here. Okay. There's a little seal here. We want to get that out. So just kind of work your way around. So there's our seal, and a washer, and our bushing. So here's the fork completely disassembled and laid out in the order that it was taken apart. So I'm running the heavy duty springs and a spacer in mine. The stock ones just have a longer spring and no spacer. Alright, so I cleaned the parts up with a whole bunch of brake clean and they're looking pretty good. So this is what comes in the PivotWorks kit. We got the little washers for the bottom bolts, the circlips, the washers for the lower bushings, the tube bushings. We got the oil seals and then the dust covers. So it also came with these two seals here. So these seals seem to be for the top cap here, and I'm going to keep the ones that I have on here already. They're in good condition and they're a little bit thicker. These are kind of one-sided, so they've got like a lip to them, and they're a little bit flat, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick with these for now. If I ever need to replace them, I'll have these on hand. Alright, so I've got just a little cap of fork oil here, and that'll just help me kind of lubricate some stuff as we're going on. So we're going to start in reverse order. We get our dust cap on. Slide that up. It's probably going to be hard to see, but there is an orientation diagram on this, and the double seal goes towards the bottom, towards the oil. Then comes our washer and our bushing. And finally, we can put this bushing back onto the fork leg. Okay, so let's start reassembling. I'm going to take this body and spring, and that's going to go into our fork leg here. Then we're going to take the cap, pop that on the bottom of the tube here, and slide everything into our fork lower. Now we can reinstall our bolt with our brand new washer here and hold that all together. This is horrifically hard to get a shot of, but we've got our bushing here that slides down in. Get that into place. This is like the hardest shot to get, but that bushing is sitting down in its little section there. And we lower down the washer on top. Then we have our seal coming in. Can't remember where I picked this trick up. It was somewhere on YouTube. But I've got the old seal on top of the new seal, and then we take some electrical tape and we wrap it around the fork tube. We want to build this up to be decently thick so that it catches the old seal and pushes the new seal down. Alright, should be thick enough. So now what we can do is we can use the fork tube to hammer down the new seal. So we want to get the seal down far enough that you can see that circlip ring in there, and that way we can get our circlip to hold everything down. So we can see our seal is fully in there, and we can see our circlip notch in there. Let's get our circlip in, kind of squeeze the sides, drop the back side in, put the thumb over it, squeeze the sides, kind of manhandle it in there. And then you can use a screwdriver to get it into its little indent. Kind of work around, make sure that all of it is fully seated, like so. Yep, it's in there. Now it's just time to put our dust seal on. Alright, so now we're going to add oil back into our partially assembled shocks. This is going to vary depending on your application. I'm using 20 weight and I'm pulling 100 milliliters from the top of the fork. That's how much fluid I'm adding to the system. Depending on your application, you might want to run a lighter oil or more or less of it in the fork. But for me, 20 weight, 100 milliliter from the top. And that's with no spring, nothing inside, and the fork fully compressed. Once you add a little oil, make sure to work it in. Pump the tube up and down. Alright, we're getting close to the top, so I've got my fork oil level tool here. I'll throw this down in the link below. It's super useful. It's just a syringe attached to a gradiated level, so it's got 10 milliliter increments. There we go. So that's 100 milliliters from the top, filled up. Next up, you drop the spring in. If you've got a spacer, that as well. Washer goes on top. And then we insert the rod here and find there's like a D-shaped hole in the body of the fork. And once you find that, it should drop in. Oh, there we go. And then you just have to twist her on. Take a 17 and snug it on up. You can add just a little bit more to it once it's in the triple trees. It'll hold it in place, and then you can just give it a little bit of a, don't go ham on it. It's, you know, aluminum threads in a very fine pitch. Just enough to keep it on. There we have it. Some freshly rebuilt forks, ready for some more abuse. Once again, I'll leave a link to everything I use down below. And again, thank you for hanging out with me in the garage. I'll see you on the next one.